Welcome to Turf's Up Radio, Raise the Mic. I'm Mark Roma. Let's raise the mic for another proven leader in the green industry. Here is Turf's Up Radio's own Darren Gruner.
Good morning and welcome to Turf's Up Radio's exclusive presentation of Raise the Mic. I'm your host, Darren Gruner, and I am live in the Turf's Up Radio studios in always sunny West Palm Beach, Florida. And boy, do I have a good surprise for you guys. You guys are interested in insects and insect control and a way to make some extra money while you're out there taking care of your customers' properties. This is the show for you. I got a perfect person that is going to help you out. Her name is Nicky Gallagher. She works with Syngenta Professional Products, and she joined them in 2012. She serves as a technical services manager for the Midwest and Northeast professional pest management market. Dr. Gallagher has a strong background in urban entomology. Who knows what entomology is? Well, if you don't, you're going to find out today, I promise you. With over 15 years of experience, Dr. Gallagher's former positions include a staff research associate position in the entomology department at the Ohio State University and as a development and technical representative for DuPont Professional Pest. Dr. Gallagher maintains responsibility for all phases of field testing and technical support within her region and coordinates numerous research programs with university researchers and cooperators. And now let me tell you something, Dr. Gallagher, she holds a bachelor's degree from the College of Mount St. Joseph in Cincinnati, Ohio, of course, along with a master's degree and a doctorate, a PhD from the Ohio State University. Welcome, Nicky, to our show, to Raise the Mic. How are you? Thanks for coming on.
Hi, Darren. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having us. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and I don't want anybody to be fooled. She's from Ohio. And we talked earlier on this week, getting prepped for this show. You have a lovely accent. You're all the way from England, but you were a little girl or a young lady when you first came over here, right?
I was. I was, only 17 when I moved to the States. So I'm originally from Liverpool, Ohio. So I have a remnant of an accent left. Trust me, if I still had my strong, what we call a Scouse accent, you probably couldn't understand me. From Liverpool, very proud. And unfortunately, we lost to Barcelona in soccer last night. But I think we're going to pull through in the Premier League, and I'm hoping we're going to get a great win.
I bet you will. That's great that you talk about that. I bet you a lot of our listeners love that stuff, and they'll root for you. I mean, if they're not rooting for our own country here. But I tell you what, it's great to have you on. A lot of these guys want to hear from people like you because you bring a lot to the table. We want to get down to the nitty gritty, and we want to find out what really is best for our clients, and that's what this whole thing is about. This is why I want to bring you on. These guys are, they're always out. They're out there hearing all kinds of different information, disinformation, whatever it is, and they want to know the truth. And who better to bring on this program to find out the truth than someone like you with a great background. Syngenta's been around for a long time. Tell us a little bit real quick about Syngenta and what they're doing. A lot of our listeners, they know who you are, but they may not know you by name.
Yeah, sure. So if some of your listeners are big in the turf industry, Syngenta might be very familiar to them because we have excellent products on the turf side. We're the number one company for the golf industry and turf industry. We're also a large agricultural company, and within Syngenta, we also have our professional pest management section. So we develop and manufacture product as well as develop solutions for our customers around the pests that can be a public health problem, can damage property, and also just be a large nuisance factor. So our goal is to bring a life uninterrupted to our customers through products that are backed by research from Syngenta itself, but also private and public third-party entities such as universities, and using those products along with tools and knowledge and using them in the best way possible for the customer and also the homeowner or a food facility or wherever it may be that we're trying to target that particular pest. But just as a heads up, so Syngenta is the mothership, so to speak. The headquarters is based in Switzerland, but here in the United States, our home base is in Greensboro, North Carolina, and then we have numerous research stations across the country. We actually have one not too terribly far from you, Darren. We have one in Vero Beach.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so we do a lot of our pest control testing at the Vero Beach facility. And then we have folks like myself who are in the research and technical part of Syngenta. So I cover the Midwest and the Northeast, and then I have colleagues that cover the Southeast and then out west.
Well, it's important for our listeners to understand that this is a serious business. Growing up, when we're taking care of our lawns, when we get into the business, we're cutting lawns first, and then we decide somebody asks us to do some mulch work or some shrub work or whatever it is, and then we're maintaining lawns out there, and we think it's no big deal. And I've got a client that asked us, do you know anything about fertilizing our lawn? I want to, it's just it's an evolution of a business for people that because it's so easy to break into. People think that they can just do it and they can just learn from the people that they're buying their products from. But sometimes they get the wrong information. So that's why it's important for me to have someone like you on. There's a reason why you guys are doing so much extensive research, especially on the pest control, because this is a serious business. I mean, when someone asks us to kill some pests, maybe it's ticks or fleas or something on their property, we have to take that seriously. We have to consider all the things that could, even though the things that could go right, but we have to consider the things that could possibly go wrong. And that's what we have someone like you on for, right?
Well, that's very kind of you to say, but you're right in that you do need to have the right training. You do have to know how to communicate with your customers. You have to know how to identify the target pest and what are the most appropriate solutions for that particular site. For me at Syngenta, what I truly appreciate about our company is the resources that we have to conduct research. And there's only, I think, a handful of manufacturers that still have those resources where the company provides research dollars for us to go out and visit with the experts across the country, and my colleagues globally will visit with the experts across the world. That we will work with the tick experts, the ant experts, cockroach experts, and work with them to evaluate our products, whether that's something brand new coming down the pipeline or a product that we have currently labeled, to see if we can add any additional language to the label that's going to benefit the pest control operator to use that product in a way that is safe for the homeowner, the environment, but also protects their health and their property. And because we have the support through the whole industry, we're able to reinvest our dollars back into research and keep that going. Because if we don't get the support from our industry through the purchase of our products, eventually that pipeline is going to run dry, and we're not going to have new solutions through new modes of action, if resistance is an issue and things like that. So yeah, the research component is very important,
and it's ongoing.
Again, yeah.
And it's ongoing, right?
Absolutely.
Now
Absolutely,
we wonder why is it ongoing? I mean, why, if you found a solution to it already, why do you have to keep beating it up, and why do you have to keep improving on it? I mean, think about it, right? So what is that? What causes all that?
Sure, yeah. So that could vary by pest and situations, right? So one part of it could be regulatory challenges. If you think about products that contain pyrethroids or neonicotinoids, there's been restrictions on those over the past, 5-10 years in where you can apply those particular products. Some of the challenges might be to because of the behavior or biology of the insect. So let's think about cockroaches or mosquitoes. We're going to think about resistance management. So with those particular pests, they might develop insecticide resistance to a particular mode of action. So you could spray it with a particular insecticide all day long, but it's going to have no impact on that particular population. But incorporating a different mode of action, a different chemical, now we can actually make an impact on that population and get it, under control, that it's no longer, a health or nuisance issue. So that's just two examples. There could be more as well.
Well, things are constantly changing. The biology of things are changing all the time, and then you have adverse effects and people, and then you have the environmental, the people at the Environmental Protection Agency. They're finding new ways to tell you to stop using certain products. So you have to reinvent some other products to be effective, like the other ones, right?
Part of that, yeah. So it's either making changes to labels to ensure we're using the products in the safest way possible with minimal or zero impact on the environment, and a lot of that is education. So even if we still have particular products, but the label might be now restricted, we can still use those products in a really smart and efficient way, and that's where the training comes into play, and it all builds into the foundation of proper pest control. And proper pest control incorporates multiple tools, right? So this gets into IPM, Integrated Pest Management, which is going to involve education, thorough inspection, non-chemical tools, but it also does include chemical tools as well, such as synthetic insecticides. So you're using all of the tools you have to do the best job possible and make that environment for the insect as less alluring as possible.
Right. When you guys that are doing lawn fertilization, that's only part of an IPM program. You're actually implementing an IPM program for your clients, and this is all part of it. So you have to understand that you're not just going out and fertilizing lawns. And if you are in that and you don't know the rest of this and all the things that are part of this, you better get with it. you better get with it. But I want to take a real quick break, Nicky, and because there's so much I'd like to talk to you about. One being what interested you in getting into entomology. We want to talk about what that actually is, because who would think that that's something that you'd want to do. It's very interesting when you start to look at it. I mean, without a doubt, I dive into it. There's things that we talked about before the show, a couple of days ago when we were getting ready for the show, that I had trouble in that area, and that's very, like I said, if you're fertilizing, you better be part of the, you're doing part of you're creating part of an IPM. You better get with it and know it, and I was something that I had trouble with, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. But let's take a real quick break, Nicky, and when we come back, we can do that, and then there's much more. I know we want to cover a lot about Syngenta as well. Okay, her time right now is on the line.
Hey guys, Corey Ballard here, your host of One-on-One on Turf's Up Radio, the only radio station dedicated to the green industry. Be sure to check out a new episode every Monday morning at 7 a.m. Central. We'll help start your week off right, offering you some innovation and inspiration. So it's One-on-One every Monday morning, 7 a.m. Central. Listen up. Thanks, guys.
You're listening to an exclusive presentation of Raise the Mic. Be sure to stay tuned to hear more from this week's featured guest only on Turf's Up Radio, the only radio platform of its kind dedicated to covering the green industry and spotlighting the achievements of green industry professionals like you.
Welcome back to Turf's Up Radio's Raise the Mic. I'm your host, Darren Gruner, and I am live here in the Turf's Up Radio studios in always sunny West Palm Beach, Florida. I am with Nicky Gallagher, doctorate, PhD of entomology, which is really cool. She works for Syngenta Professional Pest Management. Guys, you want to learn about pest management, this is the person to talk to. Nicky, thank you so much for being on. Let's get more into all this stuff. I'd love to find out more about, if you don't mind, let's just change gears a little bit real quick. Find out really what got you into going all the way. I talked to my son about it. Right now he's going into his sophomore year of college, and he still doesn't understand what he wants to do. And he's talking about different majors and stuff like that. What was your mindset going into school? Did you always want to get involved with this type of field?
That's a really interesting question, and it's one of my favorite questions to ask other entomologists and other colleagues who end up in pest control. What was your journey into this field?
Right.
So for me, I knew I always wanted to be a biologist. So I started off going to an undergraduate college in Cincinnati, Mount St. Joseph. Turned out that my advisor was an entomologist, and it was there where I got bitten by the bug, so to speak, that I fell in love with entomology. And from after my undergraduate, I moved to Columbus to go to the Ohio State University. And it was there through the entomology program that I found a calling within entomology, through urban entomology, which is the study of insects that people do not care to have in their home or on their property, cockroaches, ants, bedbugs, fleas, termites. So that is the sector of entomology that I fell in love with, where I could do research that I felt made a difference in people's lives. And so my advisor at Ohio State was Dr. Susan Jones. I worked on termites. And all throughout that time, I would work with members of the pest control industry, manufacturers, and just found it truly enjoyable that I could help, play my part in bringing information just about basic biology of the insect, but as well as, how to use chemicals in a proper way to, provide a better life for people and protect their property. And I'm so thankful that I still get to do that today. Yeah, I was bitten by the bug early, and I really enjoy talking to other people about their journey into the study of insects and how they like to pass that on to other people.
That's really cool. I mean, even when you were a little girl, do you remember ever having that state? You know what I mean? I remember when I was a kid, I had friends that were like so into that. Were you?
I was to a degree. I always liked bugs, insects, but my mom is not a big fan of insects. So she was not so crazy about that. I remember being little and keeping like pet slugs and pet lady beetles and things like that, and just loving nature in general. And, bless her heart that, she never, squashed that love, but she wasn't particularly crazy about it. But tell you what, today she loves it because she's a hairdresser. So as you can imagine, she talks to a lot of customers, right? And, she doesn't hesitate in calling me and letting me know, one of her clients might have a particular pest issue, and I have to give advice over the phone.
Boy, I'll tell you what, you probably, listen, you've been down in Florida, I'm sure. We get these palmetto bugs all the time, and it's a shame. They're too big. I think that after a certain size, you just don't want to kill them. You feel as if they're like almost an animal, but you have to.
Well, it is an animal. You're right. It is an animal.
Yeah, it's an animal, but it's so weird. My girlfriend, these things are probably 2 or 3 inches long, and then every once in a while we'll find them. They're all over the place in Florida. Every once in a while we'll see them crawling up a wall, and I just say, Renee, you got to take care of this, and she'll go get her sandal out and she'll smush this thing and it'll just explode. And it's a shame. I just feel, I don't know. I think it's interesting, but people are skeeved by that stuff. But that's funny but you're probably, like I said. So let me ask you this. I don't know do you have children of your own?
I have a stepson.
You have a stepson, do you? So was he young enough? I mean, is it something that you can look back at or look into children and say, hey, I think that he's going to have that interest in, and maybe he would be an entomologist, and you know what I mean? Is that something that you can foresee from somebody?
I think maybe so. I mean, my stepson Sean has always been into nature. And still to this day, so now he's in his 20s, and his love for nature has kind of shifted more to the reptile side.
Oh, cool.
But when he was a kid, I mean, he would have collections of insects. But he would get a little obsessed. He would just have boxes of cicadas, and then maybe the next year it was like boxes of crickets. So he would kind of focus on particular insect groups. But yeah, I think there's a really large benefit to reaching out to children about insects and the benefit of insects, and especially at that critical age, because then they can pass that knowledge on to their siblings, to their parents, and it's kind of a wide opening experience. That you don't have to have this fear of insects. That you can actually find it fascinating. And some of them are very beneficial insects, and it's also important to know that there are some insects there that can actually spread disease. So it's important to know how to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think,
Absolutely. We think we love people like you. I mean, a lot of people think, okay, that's kind of strange going up from not being part of that. You might think but you know what? Without people like you, we'd be infested. we wouldn't know what to do. And this is like a hidden fear for a lot of people, and it really shouldn't be. If we learn more about it, we wouldn't be so skeeved out or afraid from it. But listen, when we come back, I'll take a real quick break again, and I want to talk more about your products. What is going on with Syngenta? What's happening new with the new pest controls that we want to talk about. I want to talk about what's going on with that, and then a little bit later on in the show, I want to find about. I want to talk to our listeners about how they can actually how easy it is to make these applications, to learn about it, and show them, explain to what kind of a good business it could be, a good business practice. You can make some money too, right? There's a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. We'll talk about that and much more when we come back. We'll talk about that.
This is Adam Linneman, your host of the Executive Lounge. You're listening to Turf's Up Radio, the only radio station dedicated to the green industry. Be sure not to miss a new episode every Monday morning at 8 Central. I'll help you discover new strategies to build success for your green industry business. That's the Executive Lounge every Monday morning at 8 Central.
Hey Turf's Up Radio fans, are you a leader in the green industry and want to share your experience and contribute what you've learned with our audience? Well, now you can. Turf's Up Radio wants to hear from you. Simply go to turfsupradio.com and click Join Us on Air. Fill out our contact form and you'll be on your way to being a part of the only radio platform of its kind dedicated to covering the entire green industry. That's turfsupradio.com/Join Us on Air.
Welcome back to Turf's Up Radio's exclusive presentation of Raise the Mic. I have Nicky Gallagher, PhD, Syngenta, professional pest management. This is great. I love this stuff. This is cool stuff. So, Nicky, thanks a lot. We getting to know you, and this is great. And we want to know a little bit more about Syngenta and about pest management, the ticks, and all this stuff. Could you help us? Let us know what's going on. What's the buzz at Syngenta right now?
The buzz. Yeah. So very happy to talk about what we're doing at Syngenta. Bug season is gearing up, and we're probably a little bit behind you folks in Florida. So we have a variety of solutions depending on the pest that you're dealing with. But when I think about the turf side, Darren, the biggest thing that jumps out to me is the mosquito market. The turf group are already out in people's backyards treating for turf pests, and at that same time, there's an opportunity there to target those outdoor pests like mosquitoes or even ticks and fleas. And this is an easy and great add-on to current services. So at Syngenta Pest, we actually have programs, what we call the Syngenta Secure Choice Program. and we have one for mosquitoes. And it's actually an assurance program built into it as well. So it's not just the products that we're selling you. We're actually providing you with a whole program, from education, how to incorporate an integrated pest management program into the actual solution. So, how to do the inspection, how to mix the products, where to apply the products, the best way to apply the product. And also with our mosquito program, depending on the rates that you use, you could be going out once every 30 days, or you can actually be going out and doing this application once every 60 days. So, now we've got this big reduction in labor, because a lot of other mosquito programs might be going out, once every 21 or 30 days, but you actually have the option with our program to go out once every 60 days. If you follow our program and you have to go back and do a reapplication for some reason, the assurance program actually will give you products back to do that application. And, so we're recommending you use the Syngenta product, so Demand CS. So Demand CS is a micro-capped pyrethroid containing lambda-Cy halosome. So our micro-cap is built with what we call ICAP technology, which is unique to Syngenta. And that's what allows it to hold up for up to 60 plus days. It's going to protect that active ingredient. It's going to be on the surface, like the vegetation, the substrates that you're treating, and it's going to remain there until the mosquito comes along, and the mosquito will land on these very, tiny microcaps that are not visible to the human eye. And then once the mosquito lands on it, that microcap is going to start dissolving. The active ingredient is going to get into the mosquito system, and then it's going to succumb and die. And when we do these applications, we're doing it mostly on the perimeter of the property and any other potential resting site of that mosquito. So we're going to knock down the population that's currently on the property, as well as create this zone to prevent other mosquitoes from moving in. And to enhance that application, we actually recommend incorporating Archer insect growth regulator into your tank. So now we're putting in Demand CS, which targets the adult, and now we're also putting in a growth regulator that's going to help reduce any new populations that start to arise. And then, on top of that, we have all of these excellent educational tools on our website. We have videos to help show you how to mix and how to apply the product, like making the equipment do all of the hard work for you. Because I think that's one of maybe like the biggest mistakes I might see with some mosquito applications is not using the right equipment and under applying essentially. Because when it comes to vegetation, you've got to get the product to where the mosquitoes are. And that's typically on the underside of leaves. So we found that backpack mist blowers are the way to go with backyard mosquito treatments. They really get those droplets of insecticide up under the vegetation. And when you've got your applicator out there and you've got your wand, don't just go side to side and up and down. Make really nice circular motions. Think of our favorite 80s movie, the Karate Kid, do the wax on, wax off.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're going in circular motions.
Right.
And that really helps move the vegetation around. And that makes a really big difference in how thorough your application is.
Yeah, when I was doing pesticide treatments up in New Jersey, I remember getting into the tick thing. And a lot of guys, by the way, think that, okay, well, maybe we need to hire somebody that's doing the inside of the house to take care of mosquitoes, because it's hard enough from, we're putting down products to keep grubs down, to keep that type of stuff down, and then we start to transition. Okay, well, we need to do some flea and tick control. That's kind of jumping a little bit further out of the box of something that's more comfortable for us as landscape or lawn service providers. Now to jump into the mosquitoes and take that responsibility on, it seems like it's a really difficult chore, but it's not. right? It's not. And I remember thinking when we did the tick control, I remember, oh my God, I got to spray the entire property and it's going to cost so much. It's really not that difficult. And if you're going to get into it, it's really easy. And it's a good idea that you guys, just like everybody else, all the great companies are all offering educational courses, show you how easy this is, and how to be effective in making these applications, right?
Yeah, I agree. And what we're trying to do at Syngenta is provide you that whole solution.
Yeah.
To provide you that educational component as well, and even educational pamphlets that you can leave behind for the homeowner. Like telling the homeowner, this is a list of things that you can do to help reduce, mosquitoes or ticks and protect yourself on your property. After I've done the treatment and walked away, this is what you can do. Like removing sources of water, little things like that. So yeah, I mean, it's not an expensive part of the business to get into. With the equipment, but obviously you would have to put in the time to go get your appropriate license to conduct mosquito treatments, and make sure you're comfortable using the equipment and mixing all of the product appropriately before you go out there. But that's what we're here to help with that part too.
Let me ask you something. Talking about licenses, I don't remember. It's been a while since I've been out of it. Is this something I know that you need? Well, in New Jersey, I know that we needed an applicator's license. Then you needed a lawn and or a turf license, and then you need an ornamental and tree care license in order to put down pesticides. But do you need a special license to take care of to going past the lawn and getting into the mosquito control? Do you need something different or not? Or is that something that's a federal law for licensing?
It's going to vary state by state. So my recommendation is to check in with the Department of Agriculture for your state and determine what the appropriate license is for mosquito applications.
Okay, I got you. That's great. Let's take another quick break. I appreciate that. I mean, we're going to learn about. By the way, what we should do before we go? Let's talk about. Maybe we could talk about how much. What is the cost of doing? But do you have an idea of cost? Like in order to add this, this part to your business, is it, how lucrative could it be? Can we talk about that?
That's going to really vary as well. The price of the product is going to vary, as well as just the cost of the treatment itself can vary across the country as well. So I don't have just an average or solid, straightforward answer for you, but I know just visiting with customers that have added on a mosquito program, it has turned out to be a lot more lucrative for them than they ever thought it would be.
Okay, good. So get involved somehow. Find out how do we get a hold of you to learn more about Syngenta and the programs that they offer.
Yeah, the easiest way is actually to look at our website. So SyngentaPMP.com. There you will just find a vast amount of resources from the product itself, but also educational tools from fact sheets and webinars and podcasts, not just from the Syngenta team itself, but even from university professors from across the country who have provided us with these fantastic educational podcasts and webinars. So yeah, SyngentaPMP.com. If you're specifically wanting to learn more about mosquitoes, it's just SyngentaPMP.com/mosquitoes.
Okay, great. We'll be right back.
Hey, Turfs Up Radio fans. Have you ever wanted to own your own show series or podcast? Well, now you can. Turfs Up Radio invites you to send us your podcast. We'll add a professionally produced open and close with promos to help promote your brand. To find out more about how to get your podcast series heard all across the country, simply go to turfsupradio.com/create your own show series or click on the tab on our website. Get started today. Your clients in the green industry are waiting.
All right, welcome back to Turfs Up Radio's Raise the Mic. I got Nicky Gallagher from Syngenta here, and we got a great show going. Got a lot of cool things happening with her. She's great information. I want to learn more about entomology, learn about adding this part to your business, to your already lawn care business. It's a great idea to do. Talking about pest management, talk about mosquitoes, about how to take care of them for your client. Because they're looking for answers. They're not going to do it themselves, so they need help. And it's a great idea for you to go and find solutions for them. It's a great way to add on. We always talk about, don't leave money on the table. This is a great opportunity for you. If you're already into it a little bit, you might as well get into it all the way, right, Nicky? Absolutely, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's talk a little bit about planning ahead, if you don't mind. There's you guys, just like any other business, Syngenta's got challenge. What do you see what are your upcoming challenges in the future?
Yeah, I had this question come up recently as well, and I think it's not just for Syngenta. I think it's for the industry overall, and this could be for the pest control industry, turf industry, and all over. I think we're constantly being faced with new invasive species. Being brought to the United States. You might have seen in the news recently. The Asian longhorn tick has been found in a couple of states in the New England area. It's probably been in the U.S. longer than the new findings from 2 years ago. So now more survey work is being conducted to find out how far spread is that particular tick. We've got the threat of new mosquito-borne diseases coming into the United States. We had Zika virus hit the United States a couple of years ago, and we don't know what could be the next potential disease. We have the threat of tick-borne disease. Lyme disease is well known in the Northeast, but the tick that's responsible for spreading that disease is increasing in its range. A study that came out from CDC a couple of years ago found that there was almost a 50% increase in the number of counties in the U.S. that has the black-legged tick, also known as the deer tick, and that's the primary vector for Lyme disease. And then I think the other, concern is just any regulatory hurdles that might come up down the road. I think we have the concern that certain insecticides might be removed from the marketplace, or they're going to be more restricted. So we're going to have to become really smart in how we apply our insecticides and keep that pipeline going, so we can have new active ingredients that are first and foremost, safe for, humans, animals, the environment, but also target our pests really efficiently.
Well, what type of goals do you guys have set for your company? Are you looking to educate the front line, like the landscapers, that type of, those type of companies to really make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing? Is that a major goal for you guys?
Well, so I don't necessarily work closely with the landscaping industry. That belongs to my colleagues on the turf side. So I work more with those in the pest management professional area. But for us at Syngenta, education, of course, is, really important. And, it is about, getting back to providing that whole solution. The insecticides are a part of that solution, but it goes beyond that. It's the education, incorporating other tools. And, we don't want to just sell you a product and walk away. We want to be there with you on that journey and learn from you as well. Is there anything that you've learned about Syngenta product that, we can now enhance and go back to our labs and say, hey, maybe we should be, tweaking this particular product for that particular fit, or, whatever it may be. We're always learning too.
Hey, that's what leaders do. Right? I mean, that's what you are. You guys are leaders in the industry. You've been around for a long time. That's what you do. Let me ask you something, though. What gives you the most satisfaction about your job? I mean, besides the fact that you're doing what you love, what gives you the most? Yeah.
Yeah, can't complain when I get to sort of live childhood dreams, right? When I get to I'm gonna put it in air quotes here, say play with insects and get paid for it. But it's so much bigger than that. I'm not just playing with insects, but so to give you an idea, I get to go out into the field and collaborate with pest management professionals and university researchers all of the time. And we go out and often put our products out to use in real world situations. And I've been into some situations where it's really heartbreaking. People living with really severe bedbug infestations, really severe German cockroach infestations, that we can go in and remove that infestation, that their quality of life just went up. To me is phenomenal. That through what our industry does and providing that quality of life, to me, that's what's important at the end of the day.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Listen, you've done a great job so far with Raise the Mic. We have a fun little segment near the end of the show. I'd love for you to be a part of. I know I didn't tell you a lot about it when we were talking, but we do something called a firing round, where we're going to ask you some personal questions, right? But it's not going to be a big deal. Don't be worried. I'm going to give you a minute or two because we're going to take a quick break for you to think about it. But it's all simple stuff. And if you don't want to answer, just simply say next. Okay? We got
Sounds
that.
Good.
We've had a lot of fun so far. So this is great. We'll be right back with Nicky Gallagher of Syngenta. Turf Time Right Now is on your watch.
Coming up within 60 seconds. Stay tuned for the Turf's Up Radio firing round.
Picking up a lawnmower to cut a few lawns is easy, but building and running a successful lawn and landscape business that will offer you the lifestyle you've always dreamed about isn't. By partnering with the Green Executive, we can guide you through your daily operations that will lead you to success. From developing a seasonal marketing plan to outlining new processes and procedures, we can do it all. We specialize in how to properly screen a new client, how to efficiently schedule your busy workload, and best of all, we teach you how to estimate your jobs profitably. We have proven successful strategies in how to help manage and maintain your best employees, make deals with vendors, and strengthening your client relationships. Log on to thegreenexecutive.com today. We can give you the help you need to find the success you've always dreamed of.
Well, you know what that music means, don't you, partner? Yeah, that's right. You got lucky and made it to the firing round. Let me tell you how this all is going to go down so you don't mess up. I'm going to ask you some pretty simple questions, and you're going to give me some pretty clear answers, you hear? Take as much time as you need. But when you hear the bell I ring, you know that's time to wrap it up. We're going to move on to the next question. If you make it through all the questions I ask, and you survive this firing round, well, then you just might get some free stuff. So you ready, Pilgrim? Let's get started.
Okay, Nicky, it's time now for the firing round. Are you ready? I think you can.
I'm sweating bullets, Darren. I'm sweating bullets.
I bet you are. What do you do in your free time besides play with bugs?
A lot of gardening. Yeah, a lot of gardening, actually.
That's good. All right. Now, this is a good one. I'm curious to find out who this is. Who is your idol in life?
Oh, my gosh.
Didn't even give you time to think about it.
I know. I think I have quite a few of them. But, it sounds really cheesy, but I think I have to give this one to my mom. She has been through so much, and she provided a lot for me and my brother. So yeah, she's pretty awesome.
Very nice. When have you been most satisfied in life?
The day I graduated with my PhD, and all of my family. Remember, I said I'm originally from Liverpool, right? So I want you to envision some rowdy soccer players.
Okay.
And the day I graduated with my PhD, a bunch of my family came, and it was amazing. And when I walked on stage, all the family members are supposed to be polite and not get rowdy. but they got rowdy, and I loved every second of it.
So I bet you I understand exactly what you're feeling. Like, that's awesome. Here's a good one. I think I can predict this one. If you had to describe yourself as a superhero, which superhero would it be?
Ooh, I really love Wonder Woman. She kicks butt. I love her.
I thought it was going to be Spider-Man for some reason.
Or the Tick. No.
All right.
Wonder Woman all the way.
I like it. That's great. Who would you say has helped you the most in your life to get you where you are now in your career? Or who would you like to thank for their help?
There's been a couple of people, actually. My husband has been awesome. He's an entomologist as well, so he gets it.
Cool.
Of course, my mother, and who actually got me started in entomology in the first place was my undergraduate advisor, Dr. Gene Kritsky, who introduced me to insects in the first place. So without him, I'm not sure I would have found this path.
All right. Well, I'm sure they'll find out exactly. They'll hear this and they'll be happy that you said that. Tell us about a time when things didn't go the way you wanted. Maybe something fell short of the efforts, or it fell on deaf ears, or nobody wanted to listen to you.
I don't want to get myself in too much trouble here.
You don't have to say next. I'll let you out.
But with that particular question, that ties in so nicely into just science in general, right?
Yeah.
So there's just been many times where you think you understand something and you investigate it, and you just end up generating more and more questions.
Yeah.
And that's the fun of science, right? So you have all of these failures, but it just leads to more questions. And at the end of that, hopefully you're going to end up with an even greater solution. I think an interesting tie into that at Syngenta and the industry in general. So Syngenta is involved with the IVCC. So that is the Innovative Vector Control Consortium. And that's also built into the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And they're looking at active ingredients for mosquito control. So, across the globe, mosquito control is really important, especially when it comes to malaria. And there's a lot of insecticide resistance with malaria. But part of what they're doing at Syngenta and the IVCC and other manufacturers is they're going back and screening all of these old active ingredients that have been put on the shelf. So I just kind of think of like, it's like these active ingredients that, they've probably got no use. They're just sitting there.
Oh, good.
But now they're going back through and looking at them. And, Syngenta actually did find one that, did end up being approved. And now it's the #1 mosquito product for malaria called Actelic. I think that's a really, wonderful story where it kind of could have been considered maybe a failure, but got turned around. And now,
love it.
Through that product, they're saving so many lives in Africa by, reducing malaria transmission.
I talk about that all the time. Don't let one person or one thing define who you are. Don't give up because somebody says something negative to you or says something negative about you. There's always something. Just hang on to it. Hang on to those ideas and come and circle back. And I like it very much. It's great. Speaking about that, how do you stay focused and motivated?
I think I'm just lucky in that I have a job that I enjoy. So for that part, it's not
that's an easy
too
one.
Terribly hard. Yeah, it's more about how do I juggle all of the various projects and stay on track.
All right, good. Well, let me ask you this. How do you convince someone else that their efforts to make a difference in our environment are really worth it? That's a big one.
Yeah, I don't think it's too hard to convince someone of that, especially if they're having to deal with a nuisance pest or a pest that a public health pest that could potentially transmit disease and reduce the quality of life.
That's it.
If you've lived through that difference, you can say. Think about cockroaches. Just by eliminating a cockroach population, you then reduce the allergens in that particular place, which then reduces the chances of asthma or an allergic attack to cockroaches. Because that is also life-threatening as well.
Yeah, give them the evidence. Show them the evidence, right?
Yeah,
exactly. That's great.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. A year from now, we're celebrating what a great year it's been in your industry. What's been achieved?
Oh, I am hoping that we can talk about the new exciting products that we will have launched. And how that is and how that's going to make a difference in people's business.
Love it. One more quick question. This is the end. You find a lottery ticket that ends up winning $10 million. What are you going to do with it? You have 20 seconds.
I know. So I'll probably lay low for a little while, be very quiet about it. And then, honestly, I think my first thing would be to pay off any debt, medical debt that, my family and loved ones have. And then I would love to just, buy a wonderful Airstream and then travel this country. I would love to do that.
That sounds absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much. You did a wonderful, wonderful job in the firing round. That's awesome. I knew you could do it without any preparation. Some of us need that, but you did a really good job. That's great. Listen, we're going to take a real quick break. When we come back, I want to find out what's coming up. What kind of events you have coming up in the future with Syngenta. I know you do a lot of traveling. Tell us a little bit more about that when we come back. We're right now. Hey, Turfs Up Radio fans, do you know what time it is? That's right, it's time for Turfs Up Radio. Now you can catch us streaming live 24/7 with pro talk, pro tips, and pro interviews. Simply visit turfsupradio.com. Welcome back to Raise the Mic. I'm here with Nicky Gallagher of Syngenta. Dr. Gallagher. Dr. Gallagher, see, you're smart. That's why I knew that you could handle that firing round, because you're a smart cook. Hey, we love having you on. We love to hear more about you. We wish we had a lot more time. We could probably talk to you for hours and hours and hours. But we want to find out what you got going on. What's coming up with Syngenta? What are you guys going to be doing? What kind of events do you have planned?
Probably the easiest way to find out what is up and coming is, one, check out our Twitter account. So, Syngenta Pest is our handle name. I'm not the most savvy of folks myself when it comes to Twitter. But our fine folks at Syngenta are always updating information there. Also, check out our website at syngentapmp.com. And if you happen to be going to the National Pest Management Association meeting, so that will be in October of this year. I believe it's going to be in San Diego. So that's when our entire team will be at that national meeting. We'll have a great booth. We'll be talking about our current products and new launches. So that's always a fantastic place to come visit with us. And I love talking to customers and see how things are going out in the field for them. And of course, we're always we've always got a variety of regional meetings and cooperating with state association meetings, and you'll find a number of us presenting there and talking about research.
I know that you're a technical gal and you're really smart. You talk to, there's salespeople for Syngenta, but you're there to help out and support the salespeople and help out the consumer, with the technical aspect. Would you know where to find, where can our listeners find your products? I see them everywhere. Where could they find your product?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So we sell through distribution. So our products are, for professionals, and it would just vary on who your local distribution companies are. So that's going to vary across the country. I don't want to go through the list, and just in case I forget the name of one particular distribution company.
Okay.
But all throughout the country.
All right. I could tell you that I've seen them in some of the big the big stores where professionals go. Where we've been, and if you guys want to know more about this Syngenta, you follow them definitely on Twitter. Listen, that's big now. Social media is amazing. Just find out more about their products. I love it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Nicky. You've been great. Is there anything that I missed during this interview that you would like for our listeners to know about?
Thanks, Darren. It's been great to talk with you. And I would just say if your customers have any other follow-up questions or interests, just reach out to us through our website at syngentapmp.com, and we're really appreciative of our customers, and again, without their support and the industry, we wouldn't be able to reinvest in Syngenta and keep doing the research that we're doing to look at our products and develop new ones. So yeah, really appreciate that, and thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, guys, thanks a lot for listening to this week's Raise the Mic with Nicky Gallagher, PhD of entomology. Fantastic for having you. Let me remind you guys to stay green and to keep your hands dirty.
Thank you for listening to this week's Turfs Up Radio Raise the Mic. If you're a pro in the green industry and would like to spotlight your achievements and share your experiences, log on to turfsupradio.com/join us on air.
Another Friday night on the 4th of July. County fair, you got that look in your eye. You're like a